What's going on YouTube? So the Nissan Murano has long been a stylish crossover that also packs in a lot of value, and this latest generation doubles down on that. And now for 2026, they're adding even more features to sweeten the deal. So is this the stylish crossover for you, and is it worth a little extra money over the Nissan Rogue? Well, let's go ahead and find out. Let's kick things off with a spec dump. Under the hood of every Murano, you have a 2-liter variable compression turbo 4-cylinder engine, making 241 horsepower. It's paired to a 9-speed automatic transmission. You have a new standard all-wheel drive for all trims in 2026, and the combined fuel economy is 23 mpg.
Now, the base price of the Murano this year is $41,000, and if you're looking to buy one or any vehicle, we'd encourage you to check out carconfections.com/newcarquotes to get the best price. Now, of course, we're going to talk about the powertrain out on the road, but first we need to go ahead and shut up the hood, take a look at the outside, as well as the very fancy and luxurious cabin.
Now, like we said at the beginning, one of the key things that's always been part of the Murano formula is style, and this next generation model certainly does have quite a bit of style. This year we decided to go with the fully blacked out model because I do think it's quite flattering overall. Now, taking a look first of all at the grille, we have this new version. It's quite long here with the V-motion elements. This top part would be black on all of the models, but again, of course, it looks really nice all blacked out, and you have Murano kind of stamped into it on the right-hand side. Now let's take a look at the headlights. Coming over here, all models will have the crystal design projector LED headlights. We'll also have this unique panel, which is a daytime running light that's going to stack down through there. Now, as we move around to the back of this Murano, this new generation kind of made things a little bit more sloped off than the previous model.
Yeah, and let's break down some of the individual design touches. We have a spoiler right here. Our wiper is integrated underneath. And as far as our taillights, we have that full-length taillight design that is very popular among a lot of vehicles nowadays. We do have a full LED taillight unit, so that includes your brake light, your reverse light, and your amber turn signal indicator. Murano is spelled out prominently across the back. And then down here at the lower fascia, this is a dark gray finish for this lower area. 1,500 pounds is your tow capacity.
Next up, we have the wheels, where you have large wheels as standard equipment, 20-inch alloys, or you can get 21-inch alloys with this fully loaded platinum trim. It's got a multi-spoke design with these aero cover inserts. Definitely looks unique overall. Moving up here to our mirrors, we have blind spot monitoring and heating as standard equipment on all models, plus power folding on the Platinum.
Now, in terms of vehicle length, the Murano comes in at 192.9 inches, which is almost identical to some of the luxury rivals you could look at, such as a Lexus RX, and it's about 10 inches longer than something like a Nissan Rogue. Now, in terms of design, we do have a little bit of chrome surround up here at the top that kind of sweeps into the rear, and I do want to point out that you can get a two-tone black roof on the Murano, although you don't need it if you opt for a black paint like what we've done today. Now, when it comes to your safety systems, you get all 4 active safety features as standard equipment, and as you move up the trim structure, you'll unlock features such as ProPilot. And there's also a new for 2026 feature of ProPilot 2.1. That was something that we actually complained about last year, that hands-free system not being available here on the Murano while it was on the Rogue, and now they have fixed that this year. Just be aware it does cost around $2,900. But let's go ahead and check out the luxurious cabin. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then we have reviewed over 2,000 vehicles at every price point.
No matter what you're looking for, from humble to high-end, we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the latest cars. Let's move to the inside. First, here's our Nissan key fobs, the latest version of their fob, standard smart entry and standard remote start for this model. Getting inside, no sensor behind the handle, so just press the button there. That will unlock the door. And then let's check out the interior. As you can see, it's a pretty rich looking space. And before we get into all the individual details, I want to start by talking about the seats. So Murano comes standard with leatherette seats for your lower two trims, and then your fully loaded example, the Platinum, comes with a semi-aniline leather seat. So that's one of the highest grades of leather, and as you can see, you get some unique color options. So we've got this kind of brown and beige option. You can also get a blue or a more classic black if you prefer. It feels nice and supple, and I like the stitching details. Now, as far as the seats, they're always going to be power adjusting, but the Platinum trim includes 4 ways of lumbar support, and it also includes massaging abilities. Now, one new thing I want to point out for 2026 is that you can get massaging on the SL now for the first time with something called the Comfort Package. And then finally, over there on the door trim, we have memory seats for both the SL and Platinum grades. Let's climb inside. Now, closing up the door, we'll get into the rest of the cabin materials. So over here on the door trim, we have leatherette all through here. We have a faux aluminum and then a full leatherette in that color contrast brown. That's going to continue all across the upper dashboard as well. Soft touch plastic up here, more of that trim going on through the center section. It does also illuminate, and then we've got this wood decor that runs through the center section. More leatherette through here and some piano black accenting. Everything feels really solidly put together. And I would certainly say if you're cross-shopping between the Rogue and the Murano, this is going to be a more luxurious cabin and give you a little bit more of a special experience. Now let's fire it up. Now with it all fired up, let's dive into some individual details. We'll start with the gauge cluster. So we've got a dual screen arrangement. That means this side is going to be a 12.3-inch display, just like the main infotainment system. It is reconfigurable with various things you might be looking for, including Google Maps right there in the display. Since this is the Platinum, we've got all the goodies. We've got a head-up display up there at the top. Also, as we pull back, you'll see we have rain sensing wipers, and we have a special touch with the steering wheel. So all of the models will have the 2-spoke design, which is rather unique looking. They'll also have the leatherette wrapping, but we have power, tilt, and telescoping here on the Platinum. That's pretty rare for this segment of vehicle. Now, let's turn over here and take a look at interior storage next. I think you're going to be impressed with what you find both inside the center console as well as the rest of the cabin. So first up, center console, we have donuts inside to test out the volume like we like to do. 18 donuts. That certainly passes up the dozen donut test and is above most of the competition. In front of that, we've got a little storage cubby, 2 cup holders, a large tray here which has the wireless phone charging pad. This is the latest Qi 2 wireless phone charging pad, so it does utilize MagSafe, so make sure your phone does actually have a MagSafe case or have that built into it in order to make that work, but it'll charge faster if it does. Down here, we also have a very large center pass-through area. Now the shifter itself is small and compact. It's just a push button style. Press down for drive, press again for manual shift mode. We have paddle shifters on the steering wheel. Heading in to reverse, you're going to find a 360-degree camera system on all but the base model as standard equipment. Pretty good resolution. You have active trajectory as well. The one thing that you're limited on though is the 360 spin. You will have to get the technology package on the Platinum model to get the 360 spin. And press the P there for park. You also have an electronic parking brake. Now moving into the center section, let's take a look at the climate controls. They're dual zone automatic climate, but they have, kind of a unique arrangement with the buttons themselves. Just like the electric Aria, we have touch capacitive controls. So when you press up and down, of course, to adjust the temperature, you get a little vibration, and you can do that with some of those things. If you need additional functions, you can press there, and that will give you the full menu and full spectrum of things. Included up there are your heated seats and your ventilated seats. So heated seats are standard on all Muranos. Ventilated seats are on just the Platinum trim level. They are automatic, so they work with the main climate control system. Now in the center section though, we've got a conventional volume knob. It's going to control a couple different audio systems. You have a 10-speaker Bose sound system though on all but the bass trim. Let's give that a sample. Overall sound quality is pretty good. It's certainly more of a bass heavy sound system if that's the type of profile that you prefer. All right, let's zero in with the main infotainment system now. This is a 12.3-inch display. Like I mentioned earlier, it is standard equipment on all models. The software experience itself is a little different if you get the base trim. You won't get quite as many features as what you see here on this Platinum or the SL, including the Google Apps built in. So this has Google Maps natively inside of the screen. As you can see, it also has things like Google Assistant and the ability to download other applications. Regardless though, you will have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Up top, we've got an auto dimming mirror. Only Platinum has the HomeLink universal remotes. And then I'll go ahead and slide back the sunshade for our panoramic sunroof. All but the base trim will get this option. And as you can see, it's got a power sunshade and the front panel still opens up.
Now, like we said at the beginning, you could be cross-shopping this against something like the Rogue. And when it comes to the rear seats, you might be surprised to find out that it's actually a little bit less spacious than the Rogue. Now, in terms of space figures, though, let's go ahead and hit those. 36.3 inches of legroom, 38 inches of headroom. Those are still going to be pretty good numbers, although it is definitely on the smaller side for the segment. And like I said, it is smaller than the Nissan Rogue. Now, of course, I brought along the official Car Confections ruler. The reason I do that is so I can get a realistic knee room figure. I'm 5'9" for reference, and this seat is adjusted to Drew, who's 5'8", and we are still sitting at about 9.5 inches of knee space. So still plenty of knee room. My feet can also slide up underneath of the seats. And speaking of the seats, Nissan really knows how to do these well. They're very plush, and they also have the two-tone finish with the quilted design up there at the top. If we fold down the center armrest, you have two cup holders inside. You also have this little storage cubby. And then as far as features, we have vents right here in the center area, two USB ports, and we also have heated back seats. Those are going to be included on the Platinum trim level, and new for 2026, you can get those in the SL Comfort package if you prefer to do that. Now over on the door trim, we have a rear window sunshade, really nice materials all through here, leatherette in the upper part and in the center section, as well as the armrest portion. There's also quite a bit of door storage down in the very bottom. But what about the cargo area? So walking up to it, you have a standard power tailgate on all Muranos. You can get the kickability on Platinum or SL Comfort this year. And let's talk about the space. 33 cubic feet of space behind the second row of seats, 63 cubic feet of space with those seats folded down. Now, kind of like the second row, that does mean that this is going to be smaller than a lot of your main competition, especially in this segment of vehicle that's going to be on the lower end. It's also lower than something like a Nissan Rogue. Now, speaking of all the options that you could be cross-shopping this with, we'd encourage you to check out carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. Now, we've gone through all the two-row midsize options in the segment and ranked them in individual categories. Things like cargo capacity, interior technology, luxury features, powertrain choices, and value. And you can sort the list based on the categories that are most important to you to really make an informed buying decision and make sure you're getting the best option for you and your family. That's carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. Now, as far as the features back here, we have a 60-40 split folding rear seat. You do have little handles here to fold it down, so you can just pull those little levers, and that's going to go ahead and fold those seats down completely flat with the floor. And let's go ahead and get our cargo length, width, and height figures. As far as the cargo length behind Drew's 5'8" seating position, we are looking at 76 inches of length. From behind the second row of seats, we're looking at 38 inches. As far as the width, that's 45 inches wide, and then the height is going to be on the shorter side, about 27 inches because of that sleek design. The load-in height comes in at 30 inches, and then underneath of the floor there's a little bit of extra space, but you do have to option on a spare tire if you want that. Well guys, here we are behind the wheel of the 2026 Nissan Murano, and this test drive we'll be discussing quite a lot, as you can see on the screen right now. But first and foremost, we need to go ahead and start with a hard acceleration.
Alrighty, that takes us to 60 miles per hour with this Murano. So like we said at the beginning, this is available in just one powertrain. It's a 2-liter variable compression turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. The total power on that is 241 horsepower and 260 pound-feet of torque. So those are fine power figures, although they are a little lower than some of the competition, whether that is with a turbo 4-cylinder or a V6 option, because also in the previous generation, of course, if you own one of these, you know it has a V6 engine, and that one had quite a bit more power overall.
Yeah, I will say when they switched to this new generation and switched to the Turbo 4, it wasn't just a refinement thing. It definitely is a little bit less powerful. It has a little bit less grunt off the line. In terms of overall power, it's actually 20 less horsepower than the previous model. The 0 to 60 is coming in around 7.3 seconds. So it's not, you know, awful to 60 miles per hour, but compared to some of the competition, it is going to be a little bit on the slower side, that's for sure. Also, I will point out that the VC Turbo has a little bit of an unrefined sound to it, which is something that I'm not a huge fan of.
Now, one thing that's changed since the last time we drove it is they did tweak the throttle response a little bit, and I do think that it does feel better out on the road. And also, kind of going with that, is the 9-speed automatic transmission. Overall performance of this feels like it's a little bit smoother than the last time that we tested it, and it has a little bit of less of a lag, I guess, between the shifts.
Yeah, and then one of the other improvements they made for 2026 is having standard all-wheel drive across every single trim level this year. I really like that addition, as opposed to having to pay extra for it, that's for sure. Now, I do also want to get things like our sound level reading going 55 miles per hour, so we can see how premium this overall experience is. I have it on fan speed 1, and we'll see how quiet it is. 52.6 decibels is what we settled in at as our sound level reading here in this Murano, and I don't have to sit here and guess how it compares to the rivals. I can find that at carconfections.com and see how it compares to the two-row midsizers. Now, compared to those rivals, that is going to be one of the quietest options in the entire segment. We actually saw that in our 2025 model that we tested back home as well. Really, there's only a handful of cars that are going to be quieter in this segment. That's a pretty big accomplishment because there's a wide variety of cars that you can buy in this segment. Now, what about the fuel economy while we're stuck in traffic here? And that's going to be rated at 21, 27, 23. Now, it's the same across every single Murano now that we have standard all-wheel drive. So in terms of how that compares to the previous V6, it's actually the same fuel economy as compared to the previous generation of Murano. That's a little disappointing. But that goes ahead and leads us into our slam dunk and airball. And I'm going to start us out with the airball and just say that that is the powertrain of this Murano. It has less power than the previous model, gets the same fuel economy, and is also lacking the refinement. So there's certainly some things that we don't love about the powertrain that they've included on the Murano, and I hope that in the future they would consider, you know, adding a different setup on board, or maybe at least a hybrid system to get better fuel economy.
Yeah, so, you know, if you watch some of our Infinity coverage, they have said that they want to add a V6 to the QX65. Obviously, that's kind of related to this model, so perhaps we could see the V6 actually added in the coming years. Now, as far as the slam dunk of this, I'm going to say the luxury experience of the interior. We've been kind of comparing, you know, would you spend the extra money to the Rogue? That's probably the biggest reason why you would spend the extra money for the Murano compared to the Rogue, because of those extra plush touches and just a really overall nice ambience to the cabin.
Now, we are stuck a little bit in traffic here, but I want to talk about ride quality because I think that's a very strong element for the Murano, and another reason why you might consider buying this over a Rogue is just because the ride is so refined and good with this. You hit a bump in the road, it does a fantastic job of soaking everything up. You have frequency-based dampers as well to really kind of smooth out the ride, and I have to say these seats are absolutely fantastic as well. So, you know this car is not sporty really at all, but it is extremely comfortable. So if that's something that you're looking for, you'll be very pleasantly surprised with Murano. But what about pricing? So we started around $41,000 for the base SV trim level. SL is $46,700, and this Platinum is a little under $50,000 as a starting point. That means that the prices aren't up much at all for 2026. Now, we have that fully loaded Platinum, $49,800. We also have a couple options. $1,545 destination, we're sitting at $52,610. I do also want to point out you can get some pretty hefty discounts, at least in our area, on the Murano, so it might make it a lot closer in terms of price as compared to the Rogue. Now, if you're curious as to where it's assembled, it is going to be in Tennessee, and if you're looking to buy a Murano or any vehicle, we'd encourage you to check out carconfections.com/newcarquotes. The reason you should do that is because we have a tool on our website that'll connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool to use if you plan on doing dealership negotiation. You can find a link to that down below in our video description, as well as a pinned comment at the top of this video, and it even has things like a monthly payment calculator on there. But what about Nissan's resale, reliability, and warranty? First up, let's talk about resale value. Nissan as a brand is rated at 50.56% of estimated retained value after 5 years and 60,000 miles, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, 16.43%. Now, it's worth noting that is right at the industry average for all vehicle brands. However, it is less than some of the main competition you could be looking at, such as Toyota, Mazda, or Honda.
Now, we've also calculated reliability with the combined reliability index. With the latest 2026 data, Nissan is rated quite a bit above the overall industry average against all other vehicle makes.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about our resale values, reliability data, or our methodology, you can find all of that on our website, carconfections.com. Now, as far as the warranty, it's going to be a 3-year, 36,000 mile basic warranty, a 5-year, 60,000 mile powertrain warranty. You do also get 2 years and 24,000 miles of complimentary maintenance. And guys, that's all for our in-depth review of the 2026 Nissan Murano. If you enjoyed hearing about the changes that they've made for 2026, as well as seeing this Platinum, we'd appreciate you subscribing down below and becoming a part of our Car Confections family. We'd love to welcome you in, and you won't want to miss out on all the latest and greatest content. If you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support. You make this all possible, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.